Everyone, welcome to another capsule series selection. Today, I brought up a topic in one of my Instagram posts as well as my YouTube shorts to bring about a conversation about animalic fragrances, how sexy they can be, how off-putting they can possibly be, and also how willing are you to change your character and scent profile to go out and try some of these fragrances. Today, we're going to talk about the undaunted, sexy animalic fragrances of the world. If this sounds like the type of content you think you'll enjoy, pull up a seat, pour a glass, and yes, of course, let's enhance. Cheers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Dry Down, the lifestyle channel where we as enthusiasts aspire to enhance and elevate our olfactive sensory experiences through the understanding of the different aromas, facets, and nuance of scent, cigar, and wine. I'm your host, Chris. Welcome to today's experience. As I stated, we're going to get into some very elegant, truly incredible, and luxurious fragrances today that come off very, very animalic, very austere, very they stare into the depths of the artistry of perfumery. They can be somewhat abrupt. They never secede to the mainstream accords of fragrances at this moment. They always come off as something very, very brute and very, very animalic. Today, we're going to get into some of those fragrances that I enjoy in my collection that have come about in this genre. Disclaimer, I will say that no matter how I describe some of these fragrances, you have to test these fragrances because my taste in these has been an evolution through my fragrance journey. So when I say things that give adjectives to how I feel, how these fragrances come forward for me, that won't necessarily be the same for you, but it should pique your interest in how you should go out and find some of these fragrances and see how stepping your foot into the genre can be something for you that elevates and gives you an evolution in your fragrance journey as well. But first, what I'm going to do is try to start out with some fragrances that can ease through the genre of my collection. I have 8 fragrances here, starting off with the fragrance Layton Exclusif. And for me, Layton Exclusif is a Animalic oud fragrance that is woody, spicy, sweet, and oriental, and has all of the underpinnings of the original Layton fragrance while giving a oud accord that is very, very austere, very stringent, and it has so much depth to it. It's a strange oud accord that they put into this particular scent, in my opinion. I'm not one to think that most oud accords, when they come, have the same feel. And the one that the house Parfums de Malle uses is a very, very stringent, slightly medicinal, non-barnyardy, non-fecal smelling, but a very, almost like a piece of burning staked wood. And that is Layton Exclusif. I'm just going to go over these briefly and give you guys a quick interjection into your life of what these fragrances are. I think that in this genre, even though it's one that's maintained, it's not one that's modernized in my particular opinion. I think that a lot of these fragrances I'm going to give you today are fun to have in your collection, something that you could put on in variations of your days, and especially in your wintertime wearings that are going to be fun to wear. Next up, guys, what we're going to have in this genre, like I said, we're going to ease into it. This fragrance is Mana. Mana by the house of Nishane is a very animalic leather fragrance with woody oriental spicy tones. It comes with a oud Turkish rolled and suede in the mid of this particular fragrance, which makes it a sweet variation of a animalic accord. I'm very fond of this particular scent, especially as a leather accord. It comes off great. This is one has a lot of depth to it. The composition also has castoreum in it. That castoreum, along with musk accords, guaiac wood, labdanum patchouli. It's a very, very animalic leather scent that is quite endearing because it has a sweetness to it. I love this particular scent. It's easy to wear animalic. Well, I won't say easy to wear. It is a great entry point Animalic. If you're looking to get into the genre, this is a very rough saffron Turkish rose, oud, suede, rose type of scent that is very, very endearing. I love this particular scent. One of my favorite. That is Mana by the house of Nishane. A great animalic fragrance. Next up, guys, as we lead into this list, I have a niche fragrance house here for you. This is a kind of indie house. It's niche indie to me. It's one that has a lot of unique takes on fragrances. And this one here is their take on the Middle Eastern Silk Road fragrance. And it is by the house of Zoologist. And it is the fragrance Camel. Now, Camel for me is the bottle presentation from this brand is a great bottle presentation. I will show that. I'm sure I put this particular scent on my channel before. It has a leather wrapped cap. It has great atomizers. All the scents are, I believe, Extrait de Parfum. I believe all of them are. I know that Camel is. It has a great, the way they do the depictions of the animals on the front is something that conjures what the scent will do for you. Like it shows the camel with the Middle Eastern drap and dress on. For me, this is one of the craziest resinous fragrances when it comes to the aromatic touches to it, because it gives you all of the resinous Silk Road fragrances that I love and closely aligned with, but it has some very, very harsh, astringent incense accords on top of civet, musk, and oud. And so it's a dynamic scent that is very, very animalic off of the just put it to your nose. This is one of those fragrances. It has a dried fruit accord in it, which makes it so intriguing to wear as a scent while when I first got this, I got this off the recommendation of Brooklyn Fragrance Lover, which we all know and love in the community as one of the forebearers of the genre of perfume reviewing. He raved and reviewed about this particular scent, and I blind bought this, and I got it, and I said, what the hell did he recommend? Why did I not sample this particular fragrance? But over the years, since I got this, it's got to be 4 or 5 years since I picked this up with his recommendation, my nose has become more evolved toward fragrances that are more complex, compete against the fresher scents. And for me, pulling those off, being a dynamic person, it's easy to do that. But you have to be in the mood for this yourself. It's not so much about what you don't want others to smell with this one. It's about, do you want to smell this? Because this is a very, very strong perfume as well. This is a beast mode fragrance. And like I said, dried fruits, very, very steeped in incense and frankincense with civet, musk, and oud, makes it and some Indolic jasmine as well, makes it a very animalic fragrance. And that is Camel by the house of Zoologist. Great fragrance, but woo, it'll do something to you if you put too many sprays, I tell you. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, the genre that can be near and dear to my heart. This is a fragrance from the house of Dyptique, and this is Oud Palao. Oud Palao is a rose oud combination fragrance, and what a rose oud combination fragrance it is. This one is built off the accord of Laotian oud, Bulgarian rose, Somalian frankincense, and Ceylonese sandalwood. And man, this one is a beauty. This one, to me, I love this scent, man. This one has that fecal barnyard oud to it, and that's what makes this an animalic scent. It's very, very sensual, very, very upscale and elegant. It's more on the oud side of animalic than any of the animalic notes like leather or musk or civet or hyrax or anything like that. The oud accord, that Laotian oud, is always one of those barnyard fecal smells, but not in a way that when describing a barnyard fecal smell, you're like, oh, I don't want to smell like poop. It's not so much that, it's just as in this genre of fragrances, this is how we describe it, because it can conjure that notion, but it does not really put you in the, oh, I smell like poop type of smell. But it's the closest thing that we can come to relatively to tell people how it can relate to you and your senses. But Oud Palao, man, the Laotian oud in this, the Bulgarian rose, that incense, the sandalwood accord, the depths of this with that bourbon, vanilla, and Spanish sisters. It's a leathery, oudy combination that, to me, early in my collecting, I had Oud Isfahan by the house of Dior and fell in love with that particular scent. Wore it. Didn't want to repurchase a bottle because I didn't want to price point that. Found Oud Palao in the same day at Neiman Marcus and said, damn, this is the exact same fragrance. To me, and have been buying this bottle of Oud Palao since then, and that's been about 7 years, 8 years. Great Animalic oud fragrance with rose combination that you can't beat if you're looking for that genre of fragrance with the Oud Animalics. Very bold, very undaunted, very sexy and elegant. Oud Palao. Next up we have for you guys, I have a scent here by the house of Frederic Malle, and this particular scent for me is a dark horse. I've smelled the newer generation of fragrances from this house and even the newer deployment of this particular scent, and it doesn't smell the same. This one is a lot more animalic that I have in my hand, and this is Musc Ravageur by the house of Frederic Malle. Now, this particular scent has been touted year over year to be Maurice Roussel's magnum opus, and it bolsters so much cinnamon, clove, and musk that it is. This particular formulation is on the other side of the oud, Laotian oud poop. This is more of a urinal pissy type of smell from that clove, lavender, and mandarin orange. It has so much musk, the depths of this, but it's also sweet, very sweet and cake cinnamon bun like. So if you're willing to go through the first 5 minutes of this particular fragrance, man, I won't say 5, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and let that clove and spice accord wear down off of you, and that heavy musk, that yellow gray musk of the first initial blast wear off you, this becomes quite the sensual and sexy. And the name is apropos when it says Musc Ravageur. It is very vanillic, very woody in the sandalwood accords. It has a bergamot mandarin in the open that makes it bright. Then it settles down to that cinnabon type of essence. Very peculiar for me in the opening. The newer generation, the newer batches I hear don't have much of the animalic accords in it, and as I have smelled those on the shelves, they do not have as much animalics as this particular one does, but it still has all the underpinnings that are superb and run concurrent to make this a fragrance that has the animalics in it. Very unique, very majestic. It conjures some of the intentions of the perfumer in the newer batches. So I would say if you are around and have new batches around you, go test them out, try them out. It's still an animalic fragrance that becomes very sexy on the skin, and you will enjoy it for the occasions that you wear it in that particular blend. Once again, that is Maurice Roussel, Frederic Malle, Musc Ravageur. So what we have next on the list as we come to an end, one of my I'm coming to understand what I like about this particular fragrance house. This is the scent of wood, and the more I dive into this particular house, the more I love what they present to us as fragrances, and how they are using some of the best natural materials, just like the house of Cortana when it comes to fragrances, and they make some very rich, beautiful fragrances. And to me, this is one of the sexiest oud fragrances that I've come across when it comes to date night and evenings out, like on the town, man. You can't. This is oud and bourbon. Now I got this in one of their subscription boxes years ago, and I've yet to purchase this as a full bottle, but trust, one day I will purchase this as a full bottle. This is a sexy chocolate coffee fragrance with a hint of oud and patchouli with divana, frangipani, and labdanum. All those, it makes it this very rich, super rich fragrance, but it has an animalic undertone to me from the oud inside of it. So it's a very oudy fragrance with that bourbon accord that comes off how they macerate these inside of the bourbon barrels, or how they macerate the alcohol they use inside of bourbon barrels, which is a very unique take on fragrance building. They macerate their alcohols to absorb the essence of each barrel that they put the alcohol into, be it bourbon, be it rum, be it wines, whatever they use. I can't think of everything off the top of my head, but any spirit, they put their alcohol, they denatured alcohol, and absorb some of the essence of the wood, and then that is then turned into a additional accord for each fragrance. But all in all, oud and bourbon, this chocolate absolute, coffee and divana, very sweet, very oudy, patchouli, leathery. It's a nice scent that is very sexy for an aromatic fragrance, and that's one of my favorite from the brand. As I stated, I got this in the one of their subscription boxes, and that came with a candle as well, and the candle was sexy as well. So I think that's one that many people, in my opinion, out of this list will become. If you get your nose on it, you're going to really, really enjoy this particular scent. Very, very sexy, sex appealing, very alluring, very, very sensual in the way it comes off from the skin. I like the way it smells. The coffee accord is very blooming. It's very much so in a real essence of coffee. The patchouli is nice in this. The Divana is a green sweetness. The cacao is a really showstopper in this particular scent, as well as the oud accord that mix and meshes. And then it has the labdanum saffron accords that make it a bit leathery, like some of the other fragrances in this, which lends its animalic tones. So a great fragrance overall. I very much so recommend anyone in this particular video, if you have anything in this that you see and you want to get a chance at, that's a great one to go into because of the price point with those samples and subscription boxes. So that's Scent of Wood, Oud and Bourbon, very sexy. And the color of the juice, as you see, is green. Very that's the only scent I've had that has a green scent in it, or green oils. I'm sure it's colored, but it makes for an intriguing look to it as well. It looks like a concoction. Vert. Nice. Scent of Woods, Oud and Bourbon. Next up, guys, what we have here is one of the most animalic fragrances that I have ever smelled in my life. This is from the house of Boadicea the Victorious, and this is a fragrance that I picked up not too long ago. It was something that was offered to me at a price point that I didn't think I could beat, and while I enjoy this particular scent, it is a rough one. This is Boadicea the Victoria Complex 2020. In different variations, it is called different things. On some pages, it is 2020. Some pages it's supercharged, and on some pages it is the Xerjoff Exclusif. But to say the least, this is one hell of a animalic fragrance. One spray of this will light a room on fire and leave it burning for 6 days. This is by far, it's super herbaceous, woody, and leathery. This to me is a Russian leather with birch, but they had to use the most audacious birch tar accord they had ever found. They had to. I don't know how John Stephen found this accord, because it's intriguing, it's interesting, it's also once you cannot wear this to the office. Now you can wear whatever you want to wear. I would not recommend wearing this to any office. To me, this particular scent, for me, I've worn this when I know I'm going to be out in very dense cool air. So if I'm going out and I know I'm going to be walking in, at the downtown area, if I'm going out to dinner or something like that, I'll put on one spray of this, and in that arena, it's actually a very, very pleasant scent. The first 20 minutes is the part that kind of takes you and has you shaking your head like, what in the hell was he thinking when he made this? It's, when I say beast mode, I don't even like using the word beast mode, but this is beastly. It projects goddamn 20 feet. You can smell this. Trust me. If you want, if you like showing off your fragrance, Boadicea the Victoria Complex 2020 is a leathery, birch, oudy, musk, a combination of violet and frankincense with a very, very austere smell that comes in with a opening of sage and basil. So it's this very herbaceous, phenolic greenness that is never fleeting, along with the oud accord, musk, and that leather. It's a very, very, and it's not, the funny part about this particular scent, it doesn't stink as much as it's powerful. And so the Animalic, if it was softer, this would not be, to me, honestly, a very hardcore Animalic fragrance. But it's so strong that it makes it that much more unapproachable in a way. This thing is, like this name states, this is a very complex scent. It comes off, it leads in my collection in one way or another in some of the leather animalics. Like a scent like this, I would give it a direct comparative. Is what I'm saying is if it was softer. Great Britain by Rosa Dove is a beautiful Russian leather fragrance, and this has some of the same notions, but it's amped up so powerfully that it would just take you head over heels just to, wrap yourself around what you have on as a scent, and then the others around you that first 20 minutes. Not like the first 30 minutes, like any scent, it wears down, but it does have a presence that is very, very austere. It lingers. It has a scent trail that is 3/4 of a mile long. It has all the herbaceous chords that run in congruence with the animalics that makes it just that much. There's no softer chords, no sweetness, no vanillas, no florals, nothing but incense. Well, the floral of violet, but that violet gives it that birch, and the violet and birch give it that Russian leather accord. So that's where that comes from. But all in all, Boadicea the Victorious Complex 2020 Supercharged Heritage Edition, whatever they put on the boards or whatever they put on the actual moniker these days, it's changed over time, but it's a strong one and it's a good one. But it's a very, very beast mode strong leather and oud fragrance that, whew, man. And so last but not least in my collection, but last in this list, I want to bring to your attention one of my favorite Animalic Middle Eastern style of incense fragrances that are on the market today. This is one, I believe it's been touched on by a few reviewers. I believe I even spoke on it briefly in a list or something of the sort. But all in all, the fragrance that I want to bring to your attention right now is one of the most narcotic and alluring Animalic fragrances that I have come to adore. This is my second bottle of this spicy, resinous, oriental, woody Animalic fragrance. This is Luxor by the House of Xerjoff, and I adore it. This is a very expensive smelling CEO, multi-billionaire fragrance for the wintertime. It's Animalic, but not. It's done in the Xerjoff style. And it's done in the Xerjoff style that is so alluring, sexy, and narcotic. Like I said, this thing here, it has an edge to it. And that edge comes from the Thai oud and leather combination. The Cambodian oud in this one is actually a sweetened wood note to me, picking up on it. But this one here, man, it smells fantastic. It has very expensive Ceylon cinnamon accord, tobacco, Cambodian oud, Nargamantha, which is a balsamic accord that's always, when it's transfixed with the oud accords, it always makes it such an alluring and sexy fragrance. This one here to me is, man, it has Indonesian patchouli, myrrh, frankincense, and that myrrh in this is one of the things that gives it that soft, subtle sweetness. And that myrrh and frankincense always together gives you that sexy duality where you feel confident, you feel almost in the arena of like you're in the Catholic Church, like I've been told, but you also have that sex appeal about you when they come together. That myrrh, and this myrrh, I should say, in particular, is a very grand myrrh Thai oud fragrance that has, Atlas cedar is in this one, so this has one of the best cedar accords right off the ocean, catching the winds and salty notes of the ocean coming up and catching in those Atlas cedar. Man, this shit smells good. This is a phenomenal scent, and trust me, as I stated in the first warning, when I say these fragrances smell phenomenal, grain of salt that and understand that you need to test it. But right now, this fragrance here, Luxor, cinnamony, tobacco, Cambodian and Thai oud with some Nargamantha, Atlas cedar, frankincense, and leather accord, is phenomenally sexy to me. Very restorative when it comes to the scent of that myrrh and frankincense. It's an emotional and physical embodiment of sex appeal to me. Great Animalic fragrance by the House of Xerjoff. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my video with you guys today. I hope that you got something fun, entertaining, and educational from this particular video. This was my video on the Undaunted, bold Animalic fragrance that can be sexy but sometimes off-putting, which is natural for this type of genre. If this sounds like, you know, something that you want to get into, leave a comment below. Just let me know which ones are interesting to you. And on this particular video, I wouldn't mind giving out some lucky person a sample of one of these particular fragrances, maybe like a 3 or 4 meal sample, just to get you guys knowing what these Animalic fragrances smell like. Tap in below, let me know what you guys think about that. And like I said, this is my video for you guys today. Animalic fragrances, sexy, alluring sometimes, but can be off-putting. And you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.